talk to you guys. We talked a lot about inflammatory ingredients and how diet relates back to a lot of issues that we see when we talk to our clients. So today we wanted to talk about respiratory issues and actually how diet plays a huge role in that as well. So when we have a diet that's filled with a lot of inflammatory ingredients, it causes a lot of heat and excess inflammation in the body, which manifests in different ways.
So we want to break down specific organs that all play a role in how they disrupt the body and how your body is trying to tell you something, and we just are masking the symptoms or ignoring them or thinking that they're normal, or like my horse is coughing or bleeding, and like this has become a normal thing in the world, and we're masking the symptoms instead of getting to the root cause, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah, so I think like especially in the performance horse world, or whatever event you do with your horses, there's a lot of different things like Brittany said, where there's bleeding, but also we're seeing a lot of our clients coming to us, whether they have a lot of allergies and a lot of, whether it be like COPD, asthma symptoms, they're kind of coming from all different directions. So
and a lot of these cases are, I feed my horse. The first thing we're gonna ask you is, what is your diet? Mm-hmm. And everyone's feeding their horse 3-6 pounds of grain a day with all these inflammatory ingredients that we have discussed, and that's the first thing that we are gonna want you to switch, because that is your main root cause. And there are other factors that can play a part in organ dysfunction, whether it's weather changes, medications,
stress.
That's all normal, but the biggest root cause is going to be the diet. So when we talk about the organs, your biggest organ is going to be your spleen that we address, because your spleen is going to create the phlegm. And when you have a spleen deficiency, there's not enough like digestive fire to dry out the foods and liquids that are in the digestive process. So if there's excess liquids in the body, that's going to manifest and get stored in the lungs, which creates phlegm, or it gets stored in the large intestine, which creates loose stools.
And then the next one that is the kidneys. So the kidneys control the exhalation, and when that's weak, they're unable to grasp chi. And you guys have heard us talk about chi. So in this sense, it's still our life force, our vital force energy.
Yeah. So if the lungs are going to be another big thing that we address in these formulas, because your lungs are the wei qi of your body, and that is your defense qi, basically your immune system. So when there's outside pathogens, the first thing that they come in contact with is your lungs. So whether it's pollen or anything that your horse is allergic to or has a hard time with, it's because their lungs are weak, and that's what is believed in Chinese medicine is allergies are a weak immune system and multiple organs that are out of balance and weak.
Yeah, so when the lungs are our first point of contact, so when anything's weak, just think of, their responsibility is to kind of fight off those things or be able to properly handle them, and when they're weak or out of balance, that's when you start to see those symptoms manifesting.
And even when we talk about food allergies, our customers will say, hey, do you want to see my horse's, allergy tests? And I'm like, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see it. I need to know what your horse is eating and what you're doing, what you want to do about it. And I have this list, and it's funny to me, because I'm like, you think of a foal. Well, my foal wasn't allergic to this huge list of things when they were born, but now they're 5 or 10 years old, and now I got allergy testing done, and there's this huge list of things. Well, where did that come from?
Even I think it's funny, the parameters that they test when we'll either get like a horse or a dog's allergy test. Well, I'll be like looking down the list of the parameters that they're testing, and some of them just don't I don't even understand where they're varying. Like we'll have alfalfa versus alfalfa meal versus alfalfa this, that. It's none of them really add up or make sense, or you're coming down. I've seen several with like leather or this, like all these different things, but no one ever comes back and addresses the gut or why, looks at all these different factors to see why the horse has a weakened immune system in the first place. Where did all this come from?
Your gut is your health too, and even from my personal experience, when my horse had a terrible gut, which I talk about a lot, his ulcers were so bad, his gut was so bad, his health and immune system was terrible, and his respiratory issues got so bad. Like I literally can still remember like getting no times because I couldn't even get my horse around the second barrel because he could not breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and did the BAL, I did the allergy shots, I did the antihistamines. None of it helped because I was still feeding grain. I did not address the diet. This was his root cause, and I needed to fix the gut. And actually a lot of our food allergies are going to be gut related because my horse had leaky gut from having all that poundage of food and heat in the body and the GI tract creating little tears, and all of those foods and liquids are seeping through those tears and entering the body, and this is creating an autoimmune disease. So your horse is not allergic to all these things on earth. It is an autoimmune disease. Your body is attacking things that are not supposed to be
That
there.
are not, yeah, or that are even recognizing different things as threats that aren't able to respond to them like it normally would because of how out of balance it is. And to the antihistamines, I mean, it's kind of crazy how much we see that being thrown around, and it's like, well, then, even back to it, we see that a ton with dog clients, and it's like, why is my dog not getting better? Or I've been spending hundreds of dollars a month on allergy shots, and it's like, well, you're still feeding the thing to them that is causing them to have all this excess inflammation in their body. Yeah,
What about the peanut allergy?
Yeah, so I always tell clients, if you've ever had to work with me, I will say, if you are allergic to peanuts, and I give you one peanut or a dish of peanuts, you can't have any peanuts. Like you still are going to have the allergic response. I can't just take,
I thought too, like I was like, oh well, I need to just cut back on the grain. And oh, it's just 1 pound. Like what's 1 pound of grain if my horse is having 20 pounds of food a day? Like it's just 1 pound, it'll be okay. Like it's no different than humans. I was like, well, we eat like crap sometimes, like it's okay. But when your body is in that response and needs to heal, nothing, you cannot have anything, none. And when customers tell us this all the time, I've tried the BAL, I've tried the allergy shots, none of these list of antihistamines that are not working. And they're coming to us because they're not working. We've been there. They're not addressing the root cause, and then they'll take our recommendations, and they've had amazing results because we are targeting the organs that need to bring back balance and clearing heat from the body.
Yeah, and getting rid of the, back to the peanut analogy, where it's like, if I'm throwing in any little bit of whatever ingredient it is that's causing this inflammation, I'm not going to be able to medicate the threat to the body. I might be able to kind of mask the symptoms or get those to kind of appear to resolve, but we always talked about in one of our last episodes, reoccurring this, reoccurring that, and it's like, is it though, or was it never actually treated? Did you never actually get rid of that main threat to the body in the first place? So, what was the fishbowl analogy that we had just heard? It was really good.
If your fish tank is dirty, are you going to clean the fish tank, or are you going to medicate the fish?
Yeah, so
and I was just like, oh my gosh, we have to share this because it's literally so true.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, we cannot preach it enough, where it's like, get to the root cause. Less is more. Seriously, whether it's a dog client or a horse client, we're pretty much, or even us, when we with our own diet, it's the same thing, So, it kind of all goes back to our diet, and so we wanted to talk to you guys about our different formulas that we have for respiratory issues, how they vary a little bit, and different things that we're in different organs that we're targeting in each of these. So we gave you guys a little bit of an overview of respiratory issues and kind of why we're seeing those. So we wanted to share with you our two different respiratory formulas. We have Respire and Repel, and we get a lot of questions about which one should you use for your horse's issues. So the first one is Respire, and this one was formulated for respiratory issues in response to allergies. So earlier we had talked about your lungs being the first point of contact to any pathogens. Obviously when you're inhaling, that's going to be the first organ that they meet. So when your Wei-Qi is deficient, that's when you're going to start seeing those allergic responses to whatever it may be.
Yeah, like pollen, mold,
dust, any of those types of things. So you're going to see probably a lot of the more common symptoms are the coughing, sneezing, runny nose, runny eyes.
Yeah, just more when you think of seasonal allergies. Like I personally have like fall allergies because of the pollen, and that's where I see I sneeze a lot more. I have a lot more like drainage, just in general, really itchy eyes. You can even use this for like skin rashes. That really helps a lot of dogs for their skin rashes. But when you think of allergies, think of it more of just like the seasonal.
Yeah, so this formula here is going to more focus on clearing the lungs of any excess mucus and phlegm, and it's going to also help relieve the swollen glands.
Yeah, and that's where it'll just really focus on your multiple organ imbalance and really focus on strengthening your immune system. So then the difference is Repel, where Repel is going to be more for like your asthma, shortness of breath. We really recommend this if your horse is a bleeder or performance horses. That's where it's really going to focus on your spleen and your kidneys and your lungs, the inhalation and exhalation process, really strengthening that, opening the airways and clearing any phlegm. Reducing inflammation in the airway is very big with this. Do you have anything else that you can think of?
Well, Repel has been kind of going crazy. We work with a lot of people that have performance horses, and Repel has really exceeded a lot of expectations. I personally had a mare, and I think this is kind of cool because it relates to a lot of our clients, but I personally had a mare, a very nice one that I retired because she had a COPD. I mean, it was terrible. Her standing respiratory rate was through the roof before we even got to do anything with her. I had actually retired her, and I was like one last Hail Mary when we kind of came out with this formula, and that horse is back to being very competitive. She's super nice, and her symptoms are gone, and we just had another client with probably one of the more severe heaves cases that I have seen come back just from using Repel. So
people are literally seeing results with days.
Yeah, within days.
And they come back to us, they're like, I can't believe how fast it's working. And the other question that we did get too is, can you feed them together? And the answer is yes, because they target two different areas and two different things. So
yeah, we both personally and a lot of our clients, we like to use Repel on any of the horses that we're competing on, and I like to do an increased dosage of it a few days prior to competition and then day of.
Yeah, I usually do a few hours out.
Yep, so that's been great for horses. We've had a lot of feedback from folks that are dealing with bleeders, and that's a whole another conversation in and of itself. But also getting back to the root cause of that and just thinking of eliminating a lot of that stress that's going on in the respiratory system during that time, and why we're seeing a lot of those issues. So both can be used together, but again, targeting two different issues. So if you guys are struggling with respiratory issues or have any other questions, feel free to reach out like always, and we're happy to help.